you very much for attending Portugal Telecom's Technology and Innovation Conference. We are very pleased to welcome you in Lisbon. We will have a full afternoon, which will start with a presentation by the CEO of Portugal Telecom, Mr. Zeinal Bava, on the innovation imperative. We will also have presentations on network and infrastructure, B2C and B2B, operations, innovation, and brand management. In the end of the day, we have a dinner and an evening event, to which you are all invited. We have arranged round-trip transportation between the conference venue and the evening event. Meanwhile, please do not forget to register for the guided tours to PT Smart City tomorrow and for the meetings with the experts. Both of these will take place tomorrow. You can use the innovation.telecom.pt website or the conference apps, which are available on Android and iOS platforms. For those of you who do not have your password, you may always use the welcome desk upstairs. We have with us representatives of our international operations, strategic partners, and also from some Portuguese companies, innovative companies, that we invited to be here also tomorrow to present to you all. I will now hand you over to Mr. Zeinal Bava, Chief Executive Officer of Portugal Telecom. Mr. Bava, the floor is yours.
Okay. Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for coming to this event. It means a lot to us. First and foremost, I also would like to thank my team here. We have, as you can imagine, spent the last few months preparing ourselves for this event. And as I said in the emails I sent to you, we hope to make it worth your while. As you know, in addition to the presentations that we will be doing this afternoon, we've put together a smart city just next door. Seeing is believing, and therefore we hope that whatever we talk about today, you will be able to test tomorrow. We've also invited about 15 Portuguese SMEs to present to you tomorrow afternoon. A lot of the work we do around innovation is not just Portugal Telecom, involves a lot of our partners, and we would like to give our partners the opportunity also to share with you their vision, the work they've been doing, and obviously also share with you all the work that it's in the pipeline with Portugal Telecom. So my objective today is to start off by sharing with you what I've just put this thing up because for legal reasons, so whilst I continue talking, you can read the safe harbor. My objective today is to actually position, if you like, the vision that we have and the work we have done over the last 4 years in intellectually and operationally transforming Portugal Telecom, and then obviously ask some of my colleagues to detail a lot of the stuff we've been doing so you can actually find some of the answers that you're seeking in terms of industry challenges. My presentation will focus on the market trends. I've tried to simplify the market trends. As you can imagine, there are lots of them. We think there's a lot of noise out there, but for us, the market trends, I think we will summarize, if you like, in 2 or 3 things, will be the main takeaways. How we've also executed the intellectual and cultural transformation of Portugal Telecom. Let me underline the cultural transformation of Portugal Telecom, because as you can imagine, we need the right people in the right places to actually deliver on the vision that we have for our business. We will also share with you how we are monetizing these investments. Ultimately, the company belongs to shareholders. We make investments on your behalf, and we obviously have to deliver on the returns. With regard to the trends, I would say 3 things. First, digitalization, mobility, virtualization. Again and again, you've heard us say that mobility is absolutely critical. And you've heard me say that any company that wants to be successful in our sector, we have to lead in mobility. So, digitalization, mobility, virtualization. Then we have the big data challenge. How a company is going to tackle the challenges of absolutely phenomenal growth in data, independent of whether we're talking about consumers or businesses. Last but not the least, infrastructure investment. Again and again, you've heard me say that we don't think network is a commodity. And for those companies that have invested in the network, we can aspire to actually broaden the scope of services that we deliver, and we can actually aspire not only to build our market share of subs, but also market share of revenues. So starting on these market transitions, it will not come to you as a surprise that digital content usage has been increasing across the board, whether we're talking about games, video, music. Perhaps the big surprise is the next slide. This is a profound change that is happening in the world. Today, 94% of the people are actually using a lot more digital content than ever before. So we're not talking about just technophiles, we're not talking about a niche in the market. The fact that today smartphone usage has picked up, we're using a lot of touch to do a lot of the stuff we want to do, digital literacy is no longer a big issue. As a result, 94% of the population is beginning to bank on digitalization. People are also buying more online. They're buying online. Let me just use one data point on the slide. What you have here is on the x-axis is how much that people are buying online. So if you take clothing, for example, you will see that 37% of purchases of clothing were done online in 2010. When you look at 2011, what you find is that 47% of the clothing purchases are now being done online. That's a 10 percentage point increase in acquisition of clothes online. And as you can imagine, the tendency is for this to continue to increase, probably reaching 60–70%, as you have seen reach in terms of computer hardware and software. Multitasking is becoming the norm. There are about 6.6 million mobile subscriptions worldwide. If one mobile subscription was one SIM card, one individual, that would be equivalent to 95% penetration of the world. Now, we all know that we all have more than one device. So therefore, 6.6 billion means that multiple devices are becoming increasingly, I would say, popular. And some of the stats that you can see on the slide, you will see, for example, in Europe, it is expected that each individual over time will have about 6 or a bit more of devices. So this poses challenges for us. So if you think about tariff plans, we have to start thinking beyond just one device, one SIM card, beyond one person, multiple devices, and a limited amount of bandwidth. Also, everything is going mobile. Only 22% of the time that is spent actually using your mobile phone is to do voice. 78% you're doing always something else. That's, of course, it depends on the segment of the market that we're talking about, but I would say, broadly speaking, 78% of the time you are either doing SMSs, emails, browsing, etc. Consumers are moving to the cloud exactly for this reason, because they have multiple devices, they're using mobile to do a lot more than just voice, and as a result, they need the convenience of putting all of their relevant information in the cloud so they can share it over multiple devices. They can update one device and automatically update all the other devices, and they can do it conveniently. This morning we announced at Portugal Telecom, because of the investments that we have been making in our infrastructure, that we will make available 16 gigabytes to all Portuguese individuals, starting from 10th of December of this year. You don't have to be the customer of Portugal Telecom to be able to take advantage of 16 gigabytes of storage. We believe that this will position our brand uniquely in this market ahead of the launch of the service that we will be doing on the back of this data center, the 6th largest in the world, that we are building 2 hours from Lisbon. Now, the cloud is also beginning to take up, if you think about businesses. Different reasons. Businesses want to move to the cloud. They want to virtualize because it makes them more agile, because it makes them more flexible, because it reduces significantly the upfront investments they need to make. Essentially, fixed costs become variable costs. They save in CapEx and OpEx. And furthermore, as they virtualize and as they standardize a lot of their apps, their costs can come down 30 to 40%. We'll go into a lot of that detail later on in my presentation. Let me now turn to the big data challenge. It's happening. The traffic is increasing, not just in the consumer segment, but also in the enterprise segment. These numbers are incredible. If you just look at the consumer segment, traffic is supposedly going to increase by 2016, 3.8 times. But the challenge isn't just the overall growth in traffic. It's the fact that mobile data will increase 20.7 times. Thank God we have long-term evolution. No long-term evolution, this would be a huge problem for all of us. And my colleague Falcão will take you through why we believe LTE is the answer to a lot of these challenges that we're facing in terms of data. Enterprise is the same, but interestingly, most of it is video. So against this backdrop, what do you need? You need compute and you need storage. So it's going to be mobile data and it's going to be video. 71% of all the traffic in 2016, according to Cisco, will be video. And we pretty much share this. Why? Because we're seeing similar trends in our own network. If you look at our network, what you find is that compared to 2008, our peak data traffic, peak is important because we decide our capital expenditure based on the peak capacity that we need to have to serve our customers. It's up 39 times. If you take, for example, mobile, what you find is that our traffic has gone up in terms of peak video traffic 14 times as well. This is why we've been believers that you need to invest in infrastructure if you want to make your business sustainable. You have to invest in infrastructure if you want to increase the relevance of the services that you offer to your customers so that you can ensure the sustainability of the business model long term. Now, network is not a commodity. We believe that with the right investments, we can broaden the scope of services that we can offer. The name of the game is we would like to increase our market share of subs. We also would like to increase our market share of revenues. If you look at the slide, basically, if you take Portugal Telecom, and again, not talking about our peer group companies, we provide connectivity and transport, but we are also into advertising. We also do content aggregation in our company. You will see next door, we also beginning to do payments as well. Very few companies in the telecom space can actually look to embrace such a broad range of services. Ultimately, we want to remain very loyal to our mantra, which is technology is a means to an end. We would like to use technology to deliver services that improve the lives of people and make our customers, our clients, more efficient going forward. So we believe that ultimately, the likes of Portugal Telecom, we should be able to play a much broader role in terms of servicing our markets wherever we are. The US is a good example of how supply and demand imbalances in terms of capacity has meant that certain operators can charge premium prices and can improve their profitability. You know that in the US, quality of service has become a key differentiating factor between suppliers. A lot of the competition is being done on the back of customer experience. This is where we would like to play as well. We do not wish to compete on price because we believe that, for example, prices in our domestic market are already low enough. Now, in our market, we have not been able to translate the investments that we have made in future-proof networks and technology in premium pricing and higher profitability. Why? Because we have had irrational competition, whether you're talking about cable on one hand or you're talking other mobile companies on the other. But one thing I can show you is that we have been able to translate the superior infrastructure we have in significant market share gains. We've gained market share in broadband. We've gained market share in video. And we believe that we will gain substantial market share in mobile on the back of convergence that I will talk about later on in my presentation. Investment cycles in our sector are very long. Between you taking the decision to invest and you being able to deliver that service to customers can range from 12 to 20 months. Thank God, in 2008, we took the view with the support of our board to invest in FTTH, to invest in upgrading our ADSL network to ADSL 2+, to actually embrace 4G sooner rather than later. Had we not done that, only 18 to 24 months down the line, we would have been able to compete. So when one is looking at the numbers, one needs to look slightly beyond what the numbers are telling you, because a lot of these things that we are sharing here with you, they will not come apparent immediately when you're looking at our numbers, and especially in an environment when, as you can imagine, austerity measures are having immediate impact in terms of consumer confidence and consumption. Portugal Telecom transformed, so we went out, we looked at the trends, we tried to interpret these trends, and then we tried to understand them, share, talk to our partners, and then develop our strategy. Obviously, before I talk to you about products, I just would like to talk to you a little bit about operations and also talk to you about how we culturally transformed our company. Ultimately, what we would like to do is that we would like to unleash, we believe, the technological and innovation potential of our company. Starting off with the intellectual transformation, I'll focus mainly on the infrastructure side. But one key message to you is that one has to look at IT as well. We seldom get to talk in our roadshows and in our one-on-ones about the IT transformations we have done. If you only invest in the network and you use that as a basis to tell people that you have done the intellectual transformation of your company, you will go wrong. Because if you want to translate those infrastructure investments into products and services and superior customer experience, you need to transform your IT systems as well. That's why I invited one of my colleagues to talk to you specifically about what we're doing around IT, and I will share some of the examples myself on how we have used IT to improve substantially the customer experience, and therefore on the back of that increase our market share. Now, earlier on someone was telling me that, was it a fluke? Was it, you guys actually have been able to invest in the access, in the transport, and now you guys are doing storage and you are doing compute as well. Was it a fluke? No, it was not. In 2007, 2008, we presented to our board of Portugal Telecom a strategy that basically had two bits to it: intellectual transformation, cultural transformation. Intellectual transformation was, we need to build a network that is robust, reliable, end-to-end. And then, of course, we need to make sure that our people are motivated, committed, and engaged with the delivery of the objectives that we have for our company. So if you look at, for example, our access network, we have fiber to the home. We have 4G. We cover over 90% of the population now with 4G. We are already selling data cards with 150 megabits per second in our market. And of course, we have Wi-Fi as well. What makes us very different to others is that then we have invested in the transport network. You'll hear my colleague Falcão talk about the fact that we are now delivering 100 gigabits per second in our transport network. And in 3 to 6 months' time, we will have the 6th largest data center 2 hours from Lisbon, and we will be able to serve from that cloud not just Portuguese consumers and enterprises, but also enterprises and consumers in other markets where we have a presence, and why not Europe as well, from this data center here. Because it will be cost competitive from an energy standpoint, and it will have the talent available because we have lined up a number of Portuguese universities to service that talent. So bottom line is, the investments we've made in technology are beginning to create value across the board for the community here. So if you take schools, for example, in Portugal, 40% of all the schools are wired now. They have 60 to 100 megabits per second. Why is that important? Is because early on, kids are beginning to understand why coverage is so important, why speed is so important, and why having a reliable network is so important. So when they get back home, going to the residential segment, they can tell their parents, listen, I would like to have fiber to the home, because this is what I have at school. And this is what ensures that I can have speeds of 100 to 400 megabits per second. So some big numbers for you. 1.6 million homes with fiber. We've done our fiber rollout. We have no intention to build beyond 1.6 million at this stage. Regulation doesn't allow us to actually go beyond 1.6 million. We're quite happy. Why? Because when you look at the enterprise segment, enterprises that account for 90% of revenues in our enterprise market today have fiber. So we've covered pretty much the enterprise market that we wanted to. If you look at the metropolitan areas today, Lisbon or Porto, the main cities as well, we already have significant fiber coverage as well. Now look at the backhaul. 92% of our mobile stations are connected with fiber. So if you think about LTE, it's not just about buying from vendors, LTE, and having spectrum. The backhaul is very, very important. And this is one of the distinction factors for us in this market, because we have fiber end-to-end. The data center. Now we're going to build this in steps. You will see next door, we have a maquette, 12,000 square meters, 4 blocks, 3,000 square meters each block. Why is this important? Traffic is increasing 16, 17 times. People are putting more stuff in the cloud. They will want to ensure that a lot of the compute and storage is not in the physical equipment that they have, because it's faster, it's cheaper. So from that standpoint, we believe that the first 3,000 square meters we should be able to use to promote significant consolidation of data centers and virtualization in our home market. Salish Piers, my colleague, will talk to you about our strategy around consolidation of our own data centers. We will be our own biggest cloud customer. So we will lead by example when it comes to cloud. And we will make ourselves a showcase of how the cloud not only makes us more agile, but also allows us to reduce costs by 30 to 40%. We've organized ourselves internally to plan and operate our network as one network. So we don't think about fixed access, mobile access. We basically think about the whole network. And one of the expertise that I believe we have developed in our company is we're very good at building networks. When one of my other colleagues, Jason, tells you how much we've spent rolling out fiber, it's impressive. We're doing less than 200 euros per home pass. And that has, as you can imagine, some expertise that is in-house. We know how to build networks. You will see next door how we've done RF overlays as well, and how we're using fiber and the coax that's available in the houses of people to serve up to 9 customers without a single set-top box. Also, if you take 4G, for example, I've mentioned the backhaul, but let's talk about Wi-Fi. We have 1,600 hotspots, but think about every single customer we have with fiber to the home. Penetration 25, 26% already, with 50, 60% of our sales all being fiber. Think about us opening up all of those routers to every single member in the community that wants to chip in his router as well. So we will have by far the largest Wi-Fi footprint in Portugal. And we believe that we will be able to translate that into superior customer experience, but also much lower cost for us, because we will offload a lot of our own traffic into Wi-Fi, and we'll bury that traffic and we'll make it much cheaper. So we will be very cost competitive because it's an all IP network, and cost is very important. We are, as you know, very disciplined when it comes to cost. We are sanguine about cost cutting. OPEX in our company has been coming down consistently 5% in the last 6, 7, 8 quarters. And I always get asked the question, can you do more? And I hope that we can prove to you that with technology, we will certainly be able to do more. Let me now talk to you about the cultural transformation we have done. I've shown the slide to you a few times already, but usually I always show to you that the bit that says that we are organized by segment: residential, personal, SMEs, and corporate. I seldom talk to you about the touch points of customers, so that's an add-on. And what I wanted to show to you is that we look at the customer touch points across the board. We do a 360, and we try and understand how the customer is dealing with us across all these touch points to ensure that we can give him a seamless customer and the same customer experience independent of him coming through the door on a shop or him trying to access us on the site. So people come first. We would not be able to deliver on the execution of our strategy if we didn't have engagement from the people. So 4 years ago, when we started, if you like, this process of transformation, we engaged our staff around 5 strategic objectives: 100 million subs. Scale is important in our market. 2/3 of our revenues coming from outside Portugal. Why? Because that reduces financial and execution risk. We wanted to be leaders in everything we do because we think leadership commands a premium. We wanted to be upper quartile when it comes to total shareholder returns, and sustainability was something which was very important to us. So we engaged everyone, and I just wanted to put this here just to tell you that in the last survey, 86% of our people gave us feedback. We take this feedback very seriously. And the good news is, notwithstanding the kind of cost discipline that we have in this company, which led us to, in the last 12 to 18 months, not giving anyone a salary increase in Portugal Telecom, other than on a variable scheme, we are still getting better ratings in terms of levels of satisfaction. So this is what, as CEO, gives me the confidence that we should be able to live up to the challenges we have ahead, especially in this market. Let me talk about customer touch points. CRM. I wasn't going to talk a lot about IT, but at the bottom, I've included for you here CRM, and Sardo, one of my colleagues, will talk to you about this. If we had invested in the network infrastructure, and if we hadn't rolled out one CRM for our company, we would not be able to have a 360 view of the customer relationship within our company. So for those companies that claim that they're doing convergence, they're actually doing bundles unless they have done one CRM. So in our case, we have integrated all of the touch points of the customers. So if you come through a store, if you call one of our call centers, we should, all things being equal, and you know every now and then technology fails us, all things being equal, we should be able to be pretty fast, and we should be able to prove to you that we are prepared and we are learning from our own mistakes. Some numbers. Convergence. All our fixed line stores are selling mobile now. All our mobile stores are selling fixed line. We couldn't do this before because we didn't have one CRM. So if you went to one of my fixed line stores, the sales assistant would not be able to see who you were when it comes to identifying you as a customer. We can do that now. And look at the numbers. 30% of mobile sales are now being done in former fixed line stores. Reduction in call center redo rates. This is one of the biggest OPEX items. And this is one of the biggest churn drivers in our business. People get very upset if they have to call you for the same fault twice or 3 times. And they think you're really stupid if you don't learn from your mistakes. It's okay for you to get it wrong once. It's unacceptable to get it wrong twice. So look at that. We have significantly reduced the redo rate by integrating front office, back office, and ensuring that we have continuous improvement in processes within our company. Talk to you a little bit about the self-care portal. 12% penetration on our client base of our self-care portal. We want to give power to the people. Ideally, in an ideal world, we would like our customers to deal with all of their requirements online with no human intervention. That is clearly one of the, in my view, biggest initiatives that we can have in the sector. Certainly it is in our company as a means to reduce costs. And we can do the cost reduction in 2 ways. We will reduce costs because it's simply OPEX. It's very expensive for us to have people answer calls from customers. But the second most important, in my view, is the fact that churn will come down. So when it comes to subscriber acquisition costs and translating gross ads into net ads, we will certainly improve the efficiency of that translation from gross to net ads as well. This is our self-care portal. We made it easier for customer. This is ongoing work. This is work in progress. I think we can do a lot more in the future. But it's a good example of how we are beginning to deliver people certain services at a touch or at a click without you necessarily calling us up or going into any one of our stores. If you look at invoices and payment, second invoice, detailed invoice, online invoice, direct debit, everything can be done online in our self-care portal. All this is, of course, leading to improvement in customer, if you like, satisfaction. If you look at average request handling time, significant reduction. All this is costs, okay? All this, I'm putting some operational data here for you. If you want to translate this into financials, all this is cost. This is how we have been able to reduce costs, and we believe that the cost reduction in our company is structural. If you look at, for example, self-care operations, store service, if you look at first-time resolution, that's a very important one, 75%. I'm not sure how many companies in our sector give this kind of detailed information, but I can assure you 75% is pretty good. It means that 3 out of 4 times we can actually get it right first time round. Of course, achievement elevates vision. And of course, we're getting a lot of rewards and awards for doing the right things when it comes to customer interaction. And of course, I wanted to share this with you because we believe that we can certainly do a lot better in the future. One other cultural change we've done in our company is how we think about innovation. We had myths and we had beliefs, and one of the biggest mistakes companies make is they have an R&D department, and they say that that R&D department is responsible for innovation. All of us are responsible for innovation, and innovation comes in different forms. It can be products and services, but it can be also the way you go about doing your business on a daily basis. So we launched a program 3 years ago where we started, if you like, directly tackling some of these myths that led to inertia within our company and led, above all, in my view, us allocating capital without holding anyone accountable for the investments we are making. It actually led us to invest in certain projects where there was simply no demand, where we're okay about investing in certain projects on the back of our belief that maybe there's a trend out there that we will be able to tackle with this investment, but somebody has to be held accountable. We take capital allocation very seriously, but it's not just about capital allocation. It's also mind share of the board, management team, which products and services we should be dedicating time to, and of course also people. How do we have the right people? Do we have the right amount of resources? So what we have now decided to do is to look at our innovation roadmap in 3 time frames. Short term, 12 months, which we call continuous improvements of processes. Medium term, 12 months to 36 months. And then long term, beyond 36 months. We are continuously reviewing at the board level, how are we allocating capital? Not just in terms of which products and services, but what kind of deliverables we are likely to have. So if today we announced that we will give every Portuguese 16 gigabytes of storage in our cloud, that's one project that we started working on 18 months ago. We got a team together, we call it Open. This team essentially, and my colleague that's running this will also give you a lot more details. We have a team that's fully dedicated to innovation. Their objective is to make sure that people are held accountable. Their objective is also to make sure that we have an innovation roadmap that is transparent, that is detailed enough so that we can actually share with partners. And we are okay about sharing our inner thoughts of where we think the business is going to go in the future so we can accelerate our time to market by working with some of the global leaders around the world. Experimentation and learning. In particular, we have within Portugal Telecom, 2 areas that do a lot of this. PT Inovação, which is our R&D part, and Sapo, which is our portal. And both of them are working actively, if you like, with universities, with leading companies in the world to develop certain services. Next door, you will see a PDO, and you will see that that was developed by our R&D division to adapt to the Portuguese buildings. You will see, for example, all the work we're doing on optical network terminals as well, with one of the leading manufacturers worldwide. That's being done by our R&D division as well. And I could carry on with lots of other details, but bottom line is we have 2 engines for innovation within our company, and if you like, we have someone that's driving this process, which is the team in our Open. These are all the partnerships we have. Sometimes when I present the slide, people think this is easy to do because I think building a culture that is open and transparent to suppliers is something that you do overnight. It's not true. You have a lot of people that are, in my view, hostages to the idea that if it's not invented here, it's not good. In our company, we have been able to actually look beyond that. And today we have a number of projects that are running with some of these very large companies that you see, and certainly you recognize the names, but a lot of national companies and universities as well. That's why we've invited 15 of them next door and tomorrow to present to you, because it's not just Portugal Telecom behind this innovation process. It's lots of other people, and this is why we are confident that we will continue to surprise our customers again and again, month after month, with new services. Now, of course, execution is very important. We invest our shareholders' money, so we need to deliver. We need to deliver on results. But we believe that the investments we have made so far, at least we can show you significant market share gains. And in one particular segment, we can certainly show you top line as well growth, which is the residential segment. So now let me take you through what we're doing in each segment. When it comes to TV, Mel has completely reshaped the TV experience in Portugal. When we launched the service, 2nd of April 2008, non-linear TV was something very new to people. Very few people understood when you talked about non-linear TV experience, which is essentially you being able to tape, record every single program and watch it when you want. The second thing was interactive features was another thing. Would people want to use the red button and the blue buttons? Is that really relevant, important? Don't forget that in some markets, there are more TVs than there are PCs. And TV can actually be a means for you to simulate, one way or the other, your internet experience as well. And then there was this whole idea of user-generated content. Are people going to use our interactive services? Are people going to use the bandwidth that we make available to interact so closely with the TV? And the answer is very simple. Yes. Yes. If you look at, for example, non-linearity, we have about 50 million recordings per month from male customers. You think about churn, this reduces churn. This makes you loyal to your service. When you look at, for example, our apps, a number of free-to-air channels in this country carry an interactive feature as well. So you can click the red button, and one of my colleagues will take you through this in a lot more detail. That reduces churn. That allows you to charge a premium price compared to your competitors. User-generated content, we launched Mail Canal. We have 25,000 channels that are user-generated. If you think about views, we've already had 24 million views on that service as well. If you think about churn, this is what reduces churn. This is what allows us to believe that 6, 12, 18, 24 months from now, we should be able to translate this into pricing, into premium pricing in our market. A few years ago, we used to have substantial disadvantages when it came to content. We didn't have all the content we needed. Content was very expensive for us. Why? Because we didn't have the subscriber numbers that we needed to justify the right prices. Our content partners have understood that we have an infrastructure that will allow them to showcase in Portugal things that they can't showcase in any other market. So now, with about 1.2 million TV customers, we can dictate our own agenda on content. So we've signed up 2 or 3 exclusive contents already that will be only available in our platform. And we believe, because these are Portuguese and very popular content, they will be penetration drivers. And we believe you can still grow penetration of pay TV in Portugal. So we believe that we can grow TV ads in Portugal, not just because penetration will increase, but because we believe that by investing in some of this content, we should be able to take customers away from the competition. 2nd of April 2008, we launched our TV service. We said we would be leaders. We are leaders now. We're leaders in triple play, and that's what matters to us. We're not in the business of selling voice, data. We're in the business of selling or video on a standalone. We're in the business of selling triple play. Why? Because we believe that when you buy 3 services from us, we should be able to give you more value. We want to give our customers best value for money in this market, and we believe you will also give us the lowest possible churn. If you look at our residential net adds, 230,000 first half of this year, all triple play. When you look at fiber, 57% of our net adds are now fiber. When these people churn, where will they go? DOCSIS 3.0? It's not the same as fiber. As you know, I included just one slide on DTH because I want you always to remember that we have IPTV and we also have DTH. Our DTH service gives us national coverage, so we can give TV services anywhere in Portugal. Now, we recently came out with new Samsung boxes that allow our double play customers in DTH areas to actually enjoy interactivity. So we have now a key differentiating factor compared to our competitors, which is the ability for all DTH customers to have an IPTV type experience as well. So a lot of the stuff that I mentioned to you around interactivity and apps will also be made available to our DTH customers. 6 months ago, we launched our MailGo service, which is, if you like, our mail service on your tablet, on your smartphone. And we were complementing our DTH offer with IPTV type services using MailGo. Now, no longer. Now we can actually do both. We can give MailGo on one hand, and we can also give them these new set-top boxes which they can connect to the net and enjoy all of the interactivity. And as a result, we believe that churn will come down even further when you think about DTH. So it's all about churn. It's about us getting more market share and churn. We haven't given you the numbers here, but I can tell you that our churn right now in fiber is somewhere between 10 and 12%. Which means that if you're thinking about customer lifetime value, on average, each fiber customer stays with Portugal Telecom 8 to 9 years, paying us somewhere between 45 and 50 euros a month. So as you can imagine, we have a disconnect between the financial impact of the investments that we make to grow our market share in FTTH and the quarterly numbers that we present to you. But very good business. Customer lifetime value, we're talking about lifetime value of customers of like 9 to 10 years when they buy fiber from Portugal Telecom. Now, of course, it's not just because of fiber. It's because we have the right TV experience coupled with it and the customer care as well. I wanted to include this slide also to make sure that you understand that we're not just passionate about this, and we do our numbers rigorously. So we run on a regular basis analysis of our portfolio of products and services. So we are continuously optimizing our portfolio. And those products that don't live up to our hurdle rates in terms of returns, we discontinue. So we are not going to gain market share at any cost. We would like to gain market share, but at the same time generate the kind of returns we need to continue to invest in the future of our business. Let me now turn you to talk a little bit about our personal segment. Our strategy, I think I've shown you this slide, so I wanted to keep at least one similar slide to what I've shown you in the past. Our strategy is focused on being the best data provider in this market. We have the best, and we want to have the best smartphone offer. We want to move into flat tariffs, but ultimately, we want to be the best data provider. Why? As I mentioned to you earlier, 78% of the time you use your mobile phone, you're not doing voice. So it's going to be data that's going to differentiate those winners and losers when it comes to mobility in the future. And this is where the fact that we have an integrated infrastructure, fixed mobile, my network engineering guy thinks about it as just one network that will allow us to continue to differentiate ourselves. When it comes to smartphones, we have all the smartphones. We have all the smartphones. We have the iPhone 5s, we have the Galaxies, we have all the tablets. But that's not the relevant bit. The relevant bit is that the pricing points are very high for this market. So the adoption of smartphone has been very slow. Compared to the European average of 30% penetration of smartphones, in Portugal, we are probably somewhere between 15 and 20%. We got to take that up to 30, 35%. And how do you do that? It's not by having $500, $600 smartphones in your stores and then do a lot of marketing on the back of it. You do that by working with vendors to develop, if you like, feature phones, stroke smartphones at much, much lower pricing points. And this is why we are working with a number of suppliers to do our own branded smartphones. To do both, have a pricing point which is much lower, but also to pressure others to lower their prices as well. So thank you, Huawei, and thank you, ZTE, on this one. We work on the three, if you like, operating systems as well. iOS, Android, Windows. No big deal. Obviously, as you can imagine, as an industry, we are going to put a lot of effort behind Windows 8 as well. So we are associated very closely to Microsoft. That's a partner. I was visiting them 2-3 weeks ago, and we are committed to help them and work with them to make Windows 8 very successful in our market here and in all of our markets where we are present as well. But having said that, ultimately, it is the customer that will decide which operating system they would like to use and which handset they want to buy. Why smartphones? Because smartphones, as you can see from here, results in higher ARPU. Everyone that has a smartphone tends to spend more money with us. And this is why we like to push smartphones. But it's not just about the ARPU, it's the fact that they become very used to the data part of the service that we offer to them. And why data is so important is because the churn on those customers that have mobile internet is significantly lower than those that don't have mobile internet. Again, I referred to the fact that we have the best network in this country. So for those customers that are using data in this market, they know very well that with Portugal Telecom, they will get a seamless experience between what they have at home and what they have outside the home. And most likely, if it's FTTH and LTE, they'll get probably 100 plus megabits per second speed as well. So that's why broadband has been a big push for us. We have about a 40% market share in wireless, in data cards. We are promoting a lot of services across multiple screens. For example, MailGo, you can use on any operating system, on any smartphone, on tablets as well. And you will see that some of the apps that we have developed, they are also working now across different smartphones and also in different screens, including the TV. So we have tiered mobile broadband offer, 3G, 4G, prepaid. Of course, we have unlimited plans. When it comes to unlimited plans, we have fair usage policies of 15 gigabytes as well. And you will hear my colleague Falcão tell you how we are planning to migrate 3G to 4G and how we believe that using 4G for voice will be very important for us to release very important spectrum, especially in the 1800, 900 as well, which we will be then able to use for much, much better and deeper coverage in terms of data. On the apps, we don't want to compete on apps. We think that others, obviously there's a lot of talent out there, but we believe that with the intelligence that we have of our customers and the fact that we can do, for example, geo-referencing, we can certainly make apps better. Having said that, we are going to do some apps because we talk to our customers frequently. We understand what is it that they want. We understand their needs, their requirements. And this is why we have launched a number of apps. Sorry. On this one, as you can see, but let me just focus on, for example, Mail Go, which is your mail from home, leaving home. And we already have 58,000 users on this one. Are we happy with 58,000? No, we're not. We think this number should be 3-4 times bigger than what it is. The main issue has been provisioning. As you know, there are issues relating to DRM. So, for example, the rights of people of using certain content outside the home. So, of course, we need to deal with some of those provisioning issues. We are working on them. And I believe that next time we speak, 3-6 months down the line, the 58,000 will be much more. Now, the advantage of Mail Go is that it works on 3G, 4G, Wi-Fi. And if you're a customer of Portugal Telecom, you don't pay for data. If you take Music Box, we have 100,000 users. We have 12 million tracks. You know Spotify. It's the Portuguese version of Spotify. Are we happy with 100,000? No, we're not. We made one mistake. We connected the service to Access. So we're learning about apps as well. Had we not connected the service to Access, I think that number would be 10 times bigger. I have no doubts in my mind because this is a superb service. You'll be able to test it tomorrow. So we're learning in the process. So we didn't make the same mistake when we launched our, for example, TMN Drive, which is mobile GPS. We didn't link it to Access. We allowed everyone in the market to actually download this app and use it. So what you find is that there are 300,000 active users on this app. 150,000 are Portugal Telecom customers. 150,000 are not Portugal Telecom customers. So my team that runs advertising on the portal side is monetizing this additional 150,000, if you like, audience that exists to generate additional returns as well. And of course, as you can imagine, we will continue to do upsell on this 150,000 and we will not stop until we have converted them to become customers of Portugal Telecom. This is the rationale behind us announcing today 16 gigabytes of cloud, of storage for all of the Portuguese people. Because we believe, very similar to what we saw here, half of the people that will use that service probably will not be customers of Portugal Telecom. And then we will be able to work them and upsell to them in the future. TMN Wallet, you will see next door. I wanted one of my guys, Celso here, to take you through this. It's an interesting pilot that we're doing. Some interesting lessons from the industry. So he'll, I don't want to steal his thunder, so he will take you through that. And let me talk a little bit about voice. When it comes to voice, in the past, we always talked about prepaid and postpaid. So it was very simple. So that took a lot of visibility and predictability from our business. Because it was prepaid, either people recharge or they didn't recharge. So one of the ambitions that we had was to try and move people to a model where they have to recharge every single month or else they get put on a different tariff plan. So we wanted to increase predictability of our business. The good news is that today, somewhere between 40 and 45% of customers of mobility of Portugal Telecom are recharging. So we have visibility on at least, let's say, half of our subscribers. The other half we exposed, if you like, to the economy. Okay? So we're not necessarily able to command directly what the action is going to be or whether they'll charge or recharge, other than through extensive marketing we do to them. But at least half of the mobility customers and the revenues associated, we have predictability on. So what we did, we went from what was a very simple prepaid, postpaid approach to life to tiering. So if you take 2009, we came out with our youth segment offer, and about 15% in the personal segment of our revenues were predictable. That forced everyone to recharge a month. Now what you find, it's about 21%. Of course, I'm just talking about sub numbers here. When you think about revenues, it's about 30%. That 21% accounts for 30% of the personal segment revenues, and then when you add on top enterprises, that 30% becomes 45 to 50%. So we have predictability on 50% of our customers, and this is what we believe is the right way to go about in the future when it comes to mobility and personal segment. We're also doing migrations to postpaid and putting people on this E-plan that you see here. We've talked a lot about the E-plan, which is a very simple voice, SMS, and data plan. And as you can see, as we migrate people from pre to post, ARPU goes up, churn comes down, of course, churn comes down, and long-term value of that customer increases. So selectively, we're doing pre to post migration. I say selectively, why? Because the economic conditions are such, we don't want to run a lot of credit risk, so therefore we are very cautious in the way that we do this migration. But if you think about the E, which is really just a tariff upsell, that we will continue to push simply because people have a higher ARPU and a lower churn as well. So as you can see, the shift of revenue is going towards data and higher value voice plan. I wanted to just go back on here just to also highlight that we are putting a lot of bundles of data in all of the tariff plans, starting at 100 megabytes, 500 megabytes, and of course unlimited, which is the 7.5, 15 gigabytes as well. So a number of times we have, I've told you, I think in roadshows and investor meetings, that the problem we have as an industry when it comes to mobile is that we've lost all the bargaining power vis-a-vis our customers to command a premium for mobility. So it's very difficult for companies to now tell consumers that if they're using a fast train, they should pay higher for any minutes they do of voice. It's very difficult for you to go somewhere and tell anyone that if he's in a skyscraper, he should be paying more simply because we have to invest a lot more to provide them the right level of coverage. So our belief is that the only way we're going to fix this is if we move the goalpost. And moving the goalpost means we have to do more convergence. Now, I repeat, it's convergence. I'm not talking about bundles. Convergence means you bring fixed and mobile together. The customer is agnostic in relation to what kind of access he's using. But then again, the customer experience you provide him in the store and in the call center is seamless. It doesn't really matter which service he's trying to talk about or complain about or get an upgrade on. It's the same treatment that he gets. Why? Because my call center operator has a 360-degree view of his relationship with our company, independent of the kind of access or services that he's using. So if we go to, if you talk a little bit about convergence, what do you find? You find that we have a significant market position already. We have 12 million revenue generating units in this market. We have the leading retail brands. One of my guys is going to talk to you about that. And we have a sales force. We have the biggest sales machine in Portugal. So one of my guys will take you in a lot of detail through what I've just said. And I think beyond reasonable doubt, you'll understand if there's anyone that can make convergence happen in this market and make it a showcase in the industry, it's Portugal Telecom. Now, we think that full-play demand will grow in Portugal and elsewhere because we're all carrying more than one device. Because on-net, off-net barriers in mobile are disappearing as well. With termination rates coming down the way they are, it will become increasingly less important, the network effect. So that will be one of the triggers for convergence as well. So I think, and also in those markets where you have symmetry of technology between fixed and mobile, you will find that we will be able to give you a seamless experience, good quality experience, independent of you using fixed access or mobile access. I've said to you many times before that in those markets where there is a symmetry in terms of technology between fixed and mobile, it is highly unlikely that convergence will be real. Most likely we'll be talking about bundles. Not the case in Portugal. As you can imagine, we have a lot of data on this. I can't share all the data with you. What I can say is that whatever we decide to do is backed by studies that we have undertaken in our market. And what we understand is that there are 81% of the people that are interested in having a full-play offer as long as it's price competitive and as long as it has mobile voice in it. A full-play that doesn't have mobile voice in it, it's of very, very little interest. And of course, when you think about it that way, only those operators that have fixed and mobile can make a credible case for convergence to any consumer. So brand plays an important role. All our studies will lead us to believe there's an 18 to 19% weight that you would ascribe in deciding whether you want to buy 4P or not on the brand that's trying to sell you the convergence. Enterprise. We're keeping it very simple. Again, this has been a journey for us because on one hand, a few years ago, we had no focus on SMEs. No one in our board was responsible for SMEs. So we appointed a board member only responsible for SMEs. We thought that that would fix it. But then we made it very complex when it came to products, because we started differentiating very much SOHOs, SMEs, and large corporates, only to find out that a SOHO is nothing more than a residential plus customer. A SOHO customer will be more than happy with the offers that we have for the residential segment if you are able to complement that with service level agreements. If you are able to complement that with the right equipment, so more smartphones, of course. If you complement that with a more specialist sales force, and if you can complement that with closer to him customer care. So when it comes to SOHO, we've simplified our offer. If you're thinking about small enterprises, it's about connectivity, mobility, of course, and service. So what we're doing verticals. Here we brought to bear the fact that we have such a big distribution in the market to do, if you like, agreements with software providers. So here, if you like, we have in our offering software and hardware included. So SMEs, especially small enterprises, here find it very convenient to deal with Portugal Telecom because they don't have to worry about software, desktop management. They don't have to worry about whether they're using fixed line connection or mobile connection. Moreover, these are the guys that are going to use our smart cloud. So smart cloud that you will see next door, and it's working, although it's pretty basic so far, because we are working on a number of partnerships to beef it up, it's more than enough for what they need. And it actually gives them, if you like, more agility, because fixed costs become variable costs. When it comes to the large enterprises, basically, bottom line, the objective is to build beyond telecom services, focusing on IT and outsourcing services. BPO, one of my colleagues will also address that. BPO, we are the largest shared services platform in Portugal. So we can bring to bear the specialization and the economies of scale to reduce costs of our customers in a number of services where we're very good at. Hackett Group considers us to be one of the best in shared services, and in some processes, we are not in the upper quartile, we are the upper quartile. So for these very large enterprises and medium, if you like, enterprises as well, cloud is the big opportunity for us. As you know, there are three things that are important in cloud. One of them is consolidation of data centers, that's one, virtualization, and then standardization. It's a journey. It's not going to happen overnight. If you ask our IR, give us estimates on how big this could be, it will be very difficult to give you a precise number. I think on this particular one, what we're going to have to do is do the right partnerships, put in place go-to-market strategies, so we're very quick in occupying our space. And also what we will need to do is we will have to beef up our own skill set so that our salespeople are increasingly IT consultants so we can help the customers through this cloud journey. And that's why we've included this slide so you understand. The approach from customers is very simple. I got all these services and I want to reduce costs. So we need to consider whether we use a public cloud or private cloud. Do we keep it on-premise, off-premise? Jean-Paul Capsinha will take you through that in a lot more detail. So Portugal Telecom, if we have to serve large corporates, medium enterprises, we will have to be hybrid. We will have to be prepared to work on-premise, off-premise, public, private cloud. And as you see the burst technology evolving, we should be able to do both quite efficiently. And over time, as we help these customers standardize their legacy in terms of software, we should be able to move them much, much more to the cloud. So that's a 3, 5, maybe 10-year cycle that's just beginning right now. But we're going to be there first. We're going to be there faster and first. We already have a cloud offer. You will be able to see this for yourself. It's secure. It works. Provision is fast. And now we just need to basically scale it. And this is why we are looking at a number of partnerships. And I put you this example here. I think at the bottom is very interesting. Revenue uplift. These are customers. We don't want to disclose the names for obvious reasons, but as you can see, the revenue uplift versus core telecom services has been pretty phenomenal across the board. Now, of course, the key issue is scalability. How fast can we do the same for all of our enterprises? How fast can we do it? And this is why we are looking at beefing up, if you like, the skill set within our company and hire the right people so we can actually scale it faster and take advantage of these growth opportunities. Now, in this current environment, as you can imagine, reducing costs is a priority for every single Portuguese company, including for the Portuguese state. And therefore, our salespeople have a very easy pitch to make. We will have the 6th largest data center in the world. We have reliable networks, the best coverage, the highest speed, and we can reduce your cost 30 to 40%. Check. Okay. So, if you look at the numbers, 70%, if you take our corporate segment, today 70% of our data revenues are non-voice. So if we are talking about relevance, if we are talking about predictability, here's a very good example. These are services, as you can imagine, that you can't do without. These are services that we have been able to develop because our teams and the teams of our customers have worked together as one. If you look at SMEs, 32%, a long way to go. But I think we can certainly be at the 60–70% in a few years' time. No reason why we should not be able to live up to that challenge. Commercial effectiveness, convergence. 66% of our customers in SMEs are convergent. Now, can we dig deeper into that? Yes, we can. Especially if you think about, again, the end-to-end offer that we will have, access, transport, cloud, data center, that should be doable. I wanted to put this slide only to make the point that we can still reduce a lot of costs by increasing our efficiency. We are fanatics around competing against time. So what we are doing right now is that we are monitoring how long does it take for us to install a customer and start billing him. The faster we can start billing him, the faster basically we start reporting better revenues to you guys. So this is something that we are working on. I'm still not happy about the progress we are making. I think we are going in the right direction, but there's still a long way to go. So for those of you that sometimes ask us, can we continue to reduce costs? Yes, I think we can, and we're going to try and do it structurally, which means that it will not happen overnight, but consistently if it happens, it will underpin the margin performance in our company, and that cost saving will be here to stay. Now, before I call my colleagues here to take you through more details, we transform our company from being a voice company to data. 51% of all revenues today are coming from data. And I think that if anything, with everything that I've just told you, I think that we can do a lot more. Don't forget, SMEs, only 32% is coming from data. Large enterprises, 70% is coming from data. We can certainly go from 32 to maybe 50, 60, 70%. You saw TMN. You saw personal when it came to mobility. 32% is coming from data. There's no reason why that shouldn't grow, especially if you take into account that most of the traffic growth is going to happen on the data side, and it's underpinned by video, which means that you will be prepared to pay a bit more for quality, lower latencies, and so on and so forth. So what we have done is that we have put together a team. Network and infrastructure is Pedro Falcão. He will take you through in a lot more detail on some of the things that I mentioned on infrastructure. And then I've asked my colleague Salas Pires, he's running my data center project, to come and talk to you in a lot more detail about data centers. Then we will have on B2C, Luís Nascimento. He will tell you what's the addressable market, and he will, I hope, make a very good case that we can still grow a lot in Portugal, notwithstanding the economic conditions, especially in that particular segment. Vera will share with you in a lot more detail everything we're doing around TV. Celso is running our portal, so he will explain to you how we are using, if you like, our internet culture to continue to transform not just our company intellectually, but culturally. João Epifânio, he will talk a lot more about convergence, and he'll give you a lot more details about our sales force and our, if you like, commercial power. business to business, João Paulo Cabecinha, and then on operations, Sardo. Sardo will talk to you about IT. And that's something that I really would like you to pay attention to, because we've done an incredible job transforming the IT infrastructure of our company. So when you see those CapEx numbers that we have been posting, it's not just fiber to the home, it's not just 4G, it's also IT transformation that we have done. And Nadir, Jason will take you through operations, and then Nuno Vieira, I appreciate all the work he's done to put this event together. He will take you through some of the ratios, if you like, improvements that we have done in operations and how those have translated in lower costs as well. Then open innovation management will be Ana Diaz. And then I've asked one of my colleagues here, Luis, to talk to you a little bit about, if you like, the marketing improvements we have done in our company and the rebranding that we have done, so that you walk away with the impression that these guys have the network, they have the IT, they have the product teams, but they also have the retail channels and the retail brands to actually continue to underpin market share gains and revenue share gains in Portugal. And hopefully this will all translate into inspiration to everything else we're doing in other markets, whether it's Brazil or a number of African countries where we have businesses. So let me now hand you over to Pedro, and thank you very much for listening to this very long presentation. Thank you.